Hello, I'm D.Northrup. I'm teaching a course on the worlds of Marco Polo towards an introduction to globalization. I assume you've all heard of Marco Polo. Probably most of you have come here going through the Marco Polo airport. But I suspect few of you have ever read his remarkable accounts of his voyages across Asia, overland and back through the Indian Ocean. Accounts so strange and exotic that no one in his own city was likely to believe him. He is dealing, however, with a very important period of early globalization, the coming together of different societies, violently, peacefully, for good and for great harm. He is a witness. He is not the center of the story. The center of the story is elsewhere. It is the world of Asia at a time when a recent book says Asia was the world. Like modern globalization, the events of this period show a huge range. On the one hand, the violent conquest by the Mongols of almost all of Asia and much of Europe and the Middle East produced great destruction, including the destruction of the important and venerable city of Baghdad, and yet the peace which this vast Mongol empire brought increased trade and exchange, and it was that allowed Marco Polo to travel all the way to Beijing in the second half of the 13th century. The century that followed saw even more effects of what was going on. A huge epidemic known as the Black Death in Europe killed off 25% to a third of the population of many parts of the world. And yet, in the process, there was also a spreading of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam along trade routes. In the 1400s, as we extend our story to look at the attraction of Europeans into this Asian world, we see both the increased trade and benefits that resulted from those contacts, but also the incidental discovery by Europeans of the New World and the epidemics that spread in the New World that wiped out most of that indigenous population. But on the other side, that experience brought new food crops from the Americas to Africa and Europe. Can you imagine Italy without tomato sauce, without potato gnocchi, without maize polenta? All of these things had to be a part of the ebb and flow of the worlds of interaction that Marco Polo sets us on our course to observe.